state of Arizona. Joining us is the Attorney General for that state, Mark Brnovich, Republican Senate candidate. And Mr. Attorney General, great to have you back. I'm sure you're seeing what I'm seeing, and that is, to date, what is the largest migrant caravan making its way to our southern border. That means your great state of Arizona. And I don't see Joe Biden lifting a finger to stop them.
Sean, as always, thank you for having me on, brother. And we've run out of adjectives to describe what's going on, and it breaks my heart as an Arizonan when I see the President of the United States yucking it up with Jimmy Kimmel. He has time to go hang out with his Hollywood buddies, but he doesn't have time to come to a border state like Arizona and see firsthand the destruction that he's bringing on this entire country. Because remember, every state is a border state now. You and I have discussed the record amount of fentanyl coming into this country. So far this fiscal year, more than 6,000 pounds have been seized. That's enough fentanyl to kill this entire country. We're seeing record overdoses. We see the cartels making record amounts of money. We see crime surging all over this country. So this is what Joe Biden is doing while he's yucking up with Jimmy Kimmel. We have a border crisis, and he will not lift a finger to help us.
So you're the Attorney General of the great state of Arizona, and I've talked extensively with Paxton in Texas and Governor Abbott in Texas, and I keep asking the same question, and I've even asked you this question.
Yes.
So entering this country without approval is against the law. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if I go down to the Arizona border in this caravan, let's say thousands of people make it to the border of your state, Mexico and Arizona, and I go down to the border, and let's say I pick up people that are entering the country illegally, and let's say, like, for example, just a couple of nights ago, we had a big plane load of illegal immigrants dropped in Westchester Airport in New York. It's been going on frequently. And if I took these people in a car, and let's say I brought them to Westchester, New York, and I drove them all the way there, wouldn't I be guilty of aiding and abetting lawbreaking, and wouldn't I be guilty of human trafficking?
Here is the problem, Sean. The federal government, and there's literally case law to this that came out of Arizona, the Supreme Court of the United States has said that when it comes to immigration laws and enforcing those immigration laws, including a human trafficking or a trafficking law that we had on our books here in Arizona, it was struck down because the court said that is the job of the federal government to enforce our immigration laws. And we know that they are not doing it, and that's why we keep trying to sue them. And it was why we led the effort to have Title 42 remain in place. We just filed a lawsuit. The Biden administration wants to allow DHS to grant asylum now to people. This is one of the reasons why more and more people are coming here, because Joe Biden has promised them, amnesty and asylum. And so we're trying our best to go to federal court, including myself, all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court, to stop the Biden administration and get them to enforce existing federal law. But unfortunately, the Supreme Court has said that when it comes to enforcing immigration law, the state can't do that. Now, one thing that's really important for the listeners, Sean, I'm the first AG in the entire country, first time ever, I have issued an opinion saying that what's happening at our southern border constitutes an invasion under Article 4 of the U.S. Constitution. And I do believe when it comes to the cartels, when it comes to the gangs, that states can take affirmative measures, including erecting barriers and including repatriating people back to their home countries if they fall within that definition. But it's up to the governors, it's up to the so-called commander-in-chiefs of the individual states to make that declaration. But absent something like that, enforcing the Biden administration to then sue the states, right now the existing U.S. Supreme Court case law limits the ability of states to enforce existing immigration laws.
Let me then ask you this question. Every president is sworn into office, and they have a presidential oath. I solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. So help me God. Okay, so it's 35 words. They added later, so help me God, so help me God part. So my question to you is really simple. Isn't every law based on our Constitution? Every federal law should be constitutional, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and you take an office, you take an oath in office, and you swear that to the best of your ability, you will preserve, protect, defend the Constitution. Doesn't that mean protect also the laws that are written based on that Constitution?
Yeah, absolutely. And the Constitution also says that the federal governments will guarantee a Republican form of government. So what President Biden is doing and what his enablers in the U.S. Senate, like Kelly, are doing is impeachable. So I've already said that I believe if the U.S. Senate should be impeaching Secretary Mayorkas for failing to follow the law and failure to do his duties. And if Joe Biden refuses,
but it starts at the top. These are Biden's policies.
Yeah,
I mean, he may be asleep at 9 o'clock. Maybe he's not watching my show, but certainly he has to have the awareness that we had a 30-year record last year of illegal immigrants entering the country.
Yes, and so I would submit to you, Sean, that this is grounds for impeachment because the president is failing to follow the law. And we know that even during the Obama administration, there was Operation Streamline where the Obama administration was prosecuting people for illegal reentry or illegal entry, and we saw those numbers go down. What the Biden administration has done is decriminalize. They're refusing to file. We've sued them over this. Title 8 of the U.S. Code says you shall be deported within 90 days. They're refusing to do so. People are being released from jails and prisons in Arizona and other places, and so we can't go pick them up and enforce immigration law, but what I can do is sue President Biden saying you are failing to follow the federal law, and it should never come to this. If the president refuses to uphold or follow his constitutional oath, then I think he needs to be impeached, and I think that no one...
But you and I both know that's not going to happen. It only happens to people that have the last name Trump, right?
Yeah. Yes, unfortunately, there's not a lot of will in Washington, D.C. It's obviously one of the reasons why I'm running for the Senate, because we need people to stand up and articulate middle-class Arizona values. And if the president won't do his job, then the Senate, Congress, they should start impeaching either the cabinet officials or alternatively, I mean, if I were Mark Kelly, if I were Cartel Kelly, I would be standing up every day in the Senate reading the names of Arizonans that have died as a result of the cartels and the fentanyl flooding into our country and not vote for another nominee, whether it's a court nominee, whether it's an ambassador, whether it's a cabinet officials. What Republicans, Democrats need to do is get the attention of Joe Biden or whoever's talking his earpiece and tell them, enforce the border, secure our border, because border security is national security. And until you do, nothing is going to get done.
It's pretty unbelievable. Let's talk about the president. I thought it was a mistake for him on the eve of the January 6 hearings to go on Jimmy Kimmel last night. But he never disappoints. He has cognitive issues. They were on full display last night. Let's play a little bit of that.
Oh, I'm serious. You turn on the TV, look at the ads. When's the last time you saw biracial couples on TV? When's the last time you saw the way, people are selling products. They do ads to sell products. And they sell products when they appeal to people. This generation is going to change everything. We just got to make sure we don't give up.
No question.
So there's a lot of major things we've done. But what we haven't done is we haven't been able to communicate it in a way that is... Let me say another way.
Well, see, that's kind of perfect.
I mean, Mr. Attorney General, and I can play the highlight reel, and I've got a long highlight reel. I probably could take up a full hour on radio and a full hour on TV, letting people listen to it and letting people watch it. But, this guy is a cognitive mess. You see him walking. He could barely stand half the time. When he fell 3 times climbing up the stairs to Air Force One, they said the wind blew him over. I don't know what's worse, the wind blowing him over or the fact that he tripped 3 times in a row, and then he tripped again yesterday. Did the wind blow him over again yesterday?
Sean, you don't need a weatherman to know which way the wind blows. And while Joe Biden and Jimmy Kimmel are yucking it up, Americans are struggling to pay rent. They're struggling to buy gas. They're struggling to feed their families. Migrants in record numbers are crossing our border. A record amount of fentanyl is coming across. So while Biden is taking cheap shots at hardworking middle-class Americans and, Republicans, he refuses to address real issues like border security and economic security. And, when you were playing those clips, I couldn't help but think to myself, Jimmy Kimmel and Joe Biden should actually trade writers because Jimmy Kimmel enjoys misleading viewers on a regular basis, and Biden's executive orders and policies are a joke. And we are paying the price every day for these terrible failed policies. My goodness. Joe Biden has no respect for the Constitution and little patience for federal law.
Mark Kelly only recently spoke out about Section 42, Article 40, Section 42 is what we call it. And I find it interesting because was virtually silent for an entire year last year when this surge at the border was happening. I look at his track record. I think he's at 97% of the time voting with Schumer and Biden. Is that about right?
Yeah, don't sell him short, 98% of the time. And don't forget, he also votes with Bernie Sanders more than 90% of the time, too.
All right, so
Arizona value, Sean.
All right, so here's the question. I mean, how is it that you have him virtually being a rubber stamp for everything Schumer wants? I don't see Arizona as New York. I see Arizonans as people that are hardworking, common sense, salt of the earth Americans that work hard, play by the rules, obey the laws, except for a few of them, and that you end up prosecuting. But for the most part, they're the heart and soul of America. So the question is, why would they want a senator like Mark Kelly, who's a rubber stamp for Schumer? You might as well have Schumer as your senator out there. Now, on the other hand, I got to tip my hat to Kristen Sinema. She has surprised me on more than one occasion. She refuses to go along with the real radicalism of this new Socialist Democratic Party. She has bucked them a number of times, and she's done so pretty courageously.
Yeah, think about how much the Democratic Party has changed, Sean, when someone like Kristen Sinema, who is at one point referred to herself as a socialist, is more mainstream than Mark Kelly. I tell folks all the time, New York has 2 senators. They don't need a third, and that's essentially what they've gotten in Cartel Kelly. And, yeah, part of the problem, Sean, is the local media here, whether it's print or, the news media, they give him a pass. And, he goes on, and even recently he was talking about Title 42 and how he's fighting to save it. And I'm sitting there going, wait a minute, I'm literally in court, our lawyers arguing to preserve it. And when we tried to get the border wall to continue to be built, he was silent, crickets. When we sued over the public charge rule, he was silent. I mean, he's been wrong on every position on the border, but now that he's running for re-election, he's trying to act like he's a moderate or he's middle of the road. And so this is...
I don't even think he's trying very hard. He's not good at it. He's not a good liar. Quick break, more with Republican Senate candidate, Attorney General of Arizona, Mark Brnovich. Hey, listen, in these, the Attorney General of Arizona, now Republican Senate candidate, Mark Brnovich is with us. We'll get to your calls on the other side of the half hour, 800-941-SEAN, our number. As I look at the political landscape, I think certainly you get this nomination, you're going to be the senator from Arizona, the new senator from Arizona. But obviously you have a tough primary. Everybody's been having tough primaries this year. How do you see this going down? What are the people of Arizona telling you matters the most to them?
Well, people want security, Sean. They want border security and they want economic security. And every time someone goes to the gas pump or the grocery store, or we hear these horrible stories about drug overdoses or what the cartels are doing, people are reminded of the failed policies of Joe Biden and Cartel Kelly. And the reality is the Democratic machine is in full force. They got a ton of money. They know that I'm the only guy that can beat Kelly because I have a real record. I got more votes in 2018 than Kristen Sinema or Martha McSally, even though I was outspent. So I tell folks all the time, you know where I stand 10 out of 10 times, even when you don't always agree with me. You know I'm principled. You know who I am. You know I've been in the fights. And a lot of times folks come in, they try to buy a seat, and it's not worked in Arizona. And we need to make sure that we have champions that can articulate and defend our values, taking on Cartel Kelly, because when we do, we will win.
Well, I hope you're right. I hope you do win. We really need people like you in the Senate, and we'll wish you the best. We're going to follow Arizona very closely. Senator candidate Laxalt in Nevada next door to you. These are really 2 pickup opportunities for us, huge ones, just like we have one in Georgia with Herschel Walker. So I think we have good candidates now that are beginning to emerge, and hopefully we'll win these primaries, and we're supporting your candidacy and wish you the best.
Thank you, Sean. Thanks for always having my back. Remember, Berno for AZ, your favorite website of any person running for office, right? Mark,
that's hilarious. It cracks me up.
The Hannity variant.
It's the Hannity variant. We'll call it that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Attorney General Mark Brnovich out in Arizona. 800-941-SEAN if you want to